Expand your vocabulary with our core 2,000 words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Russian ebook before it's gone.
Привет всем! С вами Светлана. Hi everybody, I'm Svetlana. Welcome to RussianPod101.com. Русский язык за 3 минуты. The fastest, easiest, and the most fun way to learn Russian. In the last lesson we learned the phrase «Извините, вы говорите по-английски?» Excuse me, do you speak English? We mentioned the word «извините», which means excuse me in Russian. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to use «извините» and other words when apologizing in Russian. We usually use «извините» when we want to draw somebody's attention. Perhaps you want to order something in the restaurant or simply ask the time. For example, «Извините, который час?» Excuse me, what time is it? The other meaning of «извините» is to say I'm sorry for something you've done or haven't done. The word «извините» derives from the word «вина», which means guilt in English. You use it when you feel guilty for bothering somebody or causing some problem. The word «извините» is used in its formal polite form. The informal version for it is «извини». It can also be used in two ways as mentioned, but it's mostly used in the sense of regret and apology. «Извини» refers to the informal pronoun you in its singular form. In other words, you would use it when speaking to a person you would address with the pronoun ты. Another informal word for an apology is «прости», which has almost the same meaning as «извини», but with a slightly higher level of regret. It derives from the verb «прощать», which means forgive. So literally this word is translated as «forgive me». So the formal way to say «forgive me» in Russian would be «простите» or «прошу прощения». The meaning of both phrases is almost the same. «Простите» is an imperative verb which literally means forgive me. «Прошу прощения» means I am asking you to forgive me. This phrase is a bit more polite than «простите». As you might have guessed, the word «прошу» means I ask. You can add the word «пожалуйста», please, to your apology to make it even more polite and sincere. «Простите, пожалуйста», «извините, пожалуйста», «excuse me, please». Okay, great! Now it's time for Svetlana's tips. If you accidentally bump somebody, any of the phrases mentioned in this lesson would be fine for an apology. Just don't say nothing or ignore the other person, because you might get a very angry reaction and be yelled at in front of everybody. Russians can be very short-tempered and emotional, but will not usually harbor resentment if you admit your mistake. It is always easier to say a simple word of apology straight away rather than try to cool an angry Russian down. Okay, that's it for this lesson. Can you count in Russian? In the next lesson, we'll learn the numbers from 1 to 10. I'll be waiting for you in our next «Русский язык за 3 минуты» lesson. Пока-пока! Привет всем! С вами Светлана. Hi everybody, I'm Svetlana. Welcome to RussianPod101.com. Русский язык за 3 минуты. The fastest, easiest, and the most fun way to learn Russian. In the last lesson, we learned some words used when apologizing in Russian, including «извините» and «простите». In this lesson, we are going to learn numbers in Russian. Yes, numbers, числа, from 1 to 10. And you're going to learn them in only 3 minutes. 3 минуты. Are you ready? Let's start. Один. Один. Два. Два. Три. Три. Четыре. Четыре. Пять. Пять. Шесть. шесть, семь, семь, восемь, восемь, девять, девять, десять, десять. Okay, now repeat after me. I'll say the numbers and give you time to repeat each one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great job! What comes before 1? Do you know? It is 0. Ноль. Ноль. You don't have any more excuses. Now you can give friends your cell phone number in Russian. Let's try together. We'll use the phrase «мой номер телефона», which means my telephone number is. Мой номер телефона. Мой номер телефона 8 9 2 4 5 7 1 3 6 10. Can you read it by yourself? 8 9 2 4 5 7 1 3 6 10. Perfect! Now it's time for Svetlana's tips. Numbers are used everywhere. Usually when Russians say phone numbers, they combine the single numbers into tens and hundreds. But if it's a short number that contains less than 6 numerals, it's usually pronounced as the separate digits. Learn your numbers well, so you can be ready for real-life situations. Do you know the Russian word for 100? It's very simple and we'll learn it very soon. In the meantime, your job is to practice the numbers we studied in this lesson, from 1 to 10. Пока-пока, до скорого, see you soon.
If you're tired of knowing and speaking the language at a basic level and want to express yourself fluently just like native speakers, then you'll need to learn grammar. The problem? It can be tricky to learn. But don't worry, in this guide you'll discover how to learn and master grammar with the Grammar Bank. 1. Where to get all of the grammar explanations you'll ever need. 2. The best way to learn grammar that's right for your level. And 3. How to expose yourself to real examples until the rules become natural to you with a study tool called the Grammar Bank inside of our learning program. But first, if you don't yet have access to our program, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description. First, what is the Grammar Bank? The Grammar Bank is like a grammar dictionary, except online. It's a database of the must-know grammar rules and explanations that makes it easy to look up specific rules and learn them. Look for it in the top menu of our site. 2. How do you learn grammar with it? The best way to learn grammar is not to just study rules, but to learn in context and hear the grammar used in real life. And that's exactly how you learn with our lessons. You learn a quick conversation and hear how the grammar rules are used within that conversation. 3. What if you come across grammar that you're not familiar with? Or what if you want to review a specific rule without going back to redo a lesson? That's where the Grammar Bank comes in. You can look up grammar rules and get the explanations, examples, and links to lessons where we cover these rules. You can also sort grammar by learning level. So if you're an absolute beginner and want to make sure you know all of the absolute beginner grammar rules, you can do just that with the Grammar Bank. You can also sort the rules by spelling, category, and lesson series. And if you want to get used to the grammar patterns so that you can use them in conversation and become fluent, the best way is to expose yourself to examples as much as possible. Grammar is hard at first, but gets easy once you get used to it with enough exposure. Be sure to access the related lessons inside the Grammar Bank and listen to the native conversations that use the rule as much as possible. So, If you want to become fluent and speak perfectly, you'll need grammar. Take advantage of the Grammar Bank inside of our learning program. But if you don't yet have access, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to sign up.
Привет всем! С вами Светлана. Hi everybody, I'm Светлана. Welcome to RussianPod101.com's Русский язык за 3 минуты. The fastest, easiest, and the most fun way to learn Russian. In the last lesson, we learned the numbers from 1 to 10. Do you remember them? I'll remind you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now let's continue from 11. 11. 11. 12. 12. 13. 13. 14. 14. 15. 15. 16. 16. 17. 17. 18. 18. 19. 19. And finally we have 20. 20. Okay, now repeat after me. I'll say the numbers and give you time to repeat each one. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17. 18. 19. 20. These numbers may seem harder to remember and pronounce than those in the previous lesson, but as you have probably noticed, the endings are the same. 19. The suffix "tsat" is the modified word for 10. 10. Tsat. Counting from 15 till 19, you simply eliminate the last letter from the original word and add "natset." In the case of 14, you eliminate the letter "ye." Let's not stop at 20. Let's learn how to count up to 100. First, I'll give you the tens. 30. 30. 40. 40. 50. 50. 60. 60. 70. 70. 80. 80. 90. 90. 100. 100. Remember I told you that the suffix "tsat" means 10? Well, we have another modification for 10. It is "desят." It is almost the same as the original word for 10, 10. In most cases, you simply add the number in front of it to multiply it by 10. 8, 8, plus 10, 10 is 80. 80. Easy! The word for 100 is also super easy. It's 100. I don't think you'll have any problems with this one. The last thing to learn today is how to form compound numbers above 20. Just take the tens and simply add the numbers you learned in the previous lesson. Let's try it out. How would you say 56 in Russian? Let's take it step by step. 50 is 50, and then add 6, 6. 56. It's done. Very easy, right? Let's make another number. For instance, 23. Take 20, 20, and add 3. 3. So we get 23. See? After only 2 lessons, you are now able to count to 100 in Russian. In the next lesson, we are going to put your number knowledge to use. Do you think you can go shopping in Russia now? If not, I'll be waiting for you in our next русский язык за 3 минуты lesson. Пока-пока! До скорого! Привет всем! С вами Светлана. Hi everybody, I'm Svetlana. Welcome to RussianPod101.coms. Русский язык за 3 минуты. The fastest, easiest, and the most fun way to learn Russian. In the last lesson, we learned how to count in Russian. I hope you spent some time practicing the numbers, because they will come in handy today. Now we are going to learn how to go shopping in Russia. So you see something you like, and you want to ask the shop assistant how much it is. The first thing to say is «Извините». Do you remember the meaning? Right. Excuse me. Извините, сколько это стоит? Извините, сколько это стоит? Let's break it down to work out the meaning of these new words. Сколько means how much or how many. As you can see, it can be used both with countable nouns like people and uncountable nouns like time. The next word is это, which means this or that. And the last one is стоит, cost. If you want to be more specific when asking how much is this and refer to a certain type of object, you just need to drop the word это and place the object after the verb стоит. For example, сколько стоит хлеб? How much is the bread? Or, сколько стоит мороженое? How much is the ice cream? But remember that Russian verbs change according to the noun. In this case, we have to be careful about using the nouns in plural and singular forms. For example, if we use the noun candies, which is plural, the verb will change. Извините, сколько стоят конфеты? Excuse me, how much are the candies? Извините, сколько стоят конфеты? As you might already know, the national currency in Russia is rubles, рубль, or рубли in the plural. So now let's hear the shop assistant's answer. He or she could answer by saying хлеб стоит 20 рублей, мороженое стоит 15 рублей, or конфеты стоят 50 рублей. Here comes our numbers. I'm sure you remember them and can easily understand the answer. Great job! Now it's time for Svetlana's tips. The prices in big shopping malls and department stores are mostly fixed. These shops may have some seasonal discounts or campaigns. But the prices in Russian markets, рынок or bazar, are very flexible. They really depend on your speaking and bargaining skills. People at these places are generally very open and friendly, and usually more than happy to find the most appropriate price to please both sides. He or she might even invite you in to have a drink. But always be aware of pickpockets and thieves. There are a lot of them in Russian markets. Do you know how to use Russian currency? We're going to learn how to do this and much more in the next lesson. I will see you soon in our next русский язык за 3 минуты lesson. Пока-пока!
Want to master grammar so you can speak properly, express yourself better, and understand more? In this video, I'll show you how to master grammar with our lessons and learning program. Let's begin. Number 1. Listen to the lesson conversations and explanations. In every lesson, you learn a conversation. Then, our teachers break down every word and grammar rule. So you're actually learning grammar rules in the context of conversations, and you can easily see how they're used. Once you're done, review the conversation again and again to remember what you've learned. Number 2. Read the bonus explanations and tutorials. With the lesson notes, you get extra grammar explanations and examples that are not presented in the lesson. After you're done with a lesson, read the lesson notes for extra review. You can even save them as PDFs so that you can access them anytime. Number 3. Leave a comment on the lesson. Once you've learned a grammar point, be sure to use it. Leave a comment in the comments section. Write some example sentences for practice. Our teachers will review your comment and give you feedback. Number 4. Unlock even more grammar lessons. If you want to find all of the grammar lessons available, visit our lesson library. Under Category, choose Grammar. You'll get all of the pathways and lessons dedicated to helping you learn and master sentence patterns and grammar points. So, if you're ready to finally learn a new language the fast, fun, and easy way, sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Signing up takes less than 30 seconds, and you'll start speaking from your very first lesson. If you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share it with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye!
Привет всем! С вами Светлана. Hi everybody, I'm Svetlana. Welcome to RussianPod101.com's Русский язык за 3 минуты. The fastest, easiest, and the most fun way to learn Russian. In the last lesson, we learned how to express gratitude with спасибо. In this lesson, we'll learn some of the most common greetings you'll use in Russian. Готовы? Are you ready? Поехали! Let's start. The most used informal greeting is Привет. Привет. Привет means hi or hello. We use this greeting when we meet friends, cousins, or close relatives. Please keep in mind that it's a very informal greeting. If you're not close to someone or he or she is older than you, you should not use this word. Here's a more formal way to greet people. Здравствуйте. Здравствуйте. This is a very formal greeting that can be used any time of the day. As a variation, здравствуй can also be used. This is still a little casual, but much more formal than привет. Здравствуйте is actually a variation of здраво желаю, meaning I wish you health. So здравствуйте literally means I wish you to be healthy.
Здравствуй.
Russian also has equivalents to the English good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. They are доброе утро, добрый день, добрый вечер. They are similar to здравствуйте in politeness and formality. However, remember to use them at the proper time depending on whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening. Доброе утро, which means good morning, is usually used before 12 p.m. Доброе утро. The word добрый means kind. Russians don't say good morning, they say kind morning. The word утро means morning, so literally this phrase means kind morning to you. Very sweet. Добрый день can either mean good afternoon or good day. Since the word здравствуйте can be used at any time of the day, we will hear it more than добрый день, but it's still a phrase you should learn. Добрый день. The final greeting is добрый вечер, and we usually use it after 6 p.m. The word вечер literally means evening. Kind evening to you. Добрый вечер. Very easy, right? The usual way to say goodbye in almost any situation is до свидания, which literally means till the next meeting. До свидания. If you're on casual terms with somebody, you may also use пока, which means bye or see you later. Пока. The phrase you use when leaving someone in the evening or just before bed is спокойной ночи. This phrase works both for formal and informal situations. Спокойной ночи. You can now greet people in many different ways in Russia. Congratulations! Now it's time for Svetlana's tips. As I mentioned in our first lesson, Russians commonly greet each other by shaking hands or slightly nodding the head. What I want to add to this is that Russians are very superstitious people, so we never shake hands over the threshold between rooms. It's considered to be unlucky. so always go into the room first before shaking hands. Women usually kiss each other on the cheeks 3 times, starting with the left cheek. Men hug and pat each other's backs. In the next lesson, we'll learn the meaning of the phrase «Извините, вы говорите по-английски?» Do you already know it? I'll be waiting to tell you about it in our next «Русский язык за 3 минуты» lesson. Пока-пока. See you.
Learning to carry a conversation is vital to mastery of any language. Even beginners can quickly learn conversational language well enough to carry on real conversations with native speakers. Of course, beginners won't be able to carry a conversation the same way they could in their native language. But just knowing a few tips, like which questions to ask to keep a conversation going, are all you need to speak and interact with real native speakers. Before we get to specific suggestions, let's first take a closer look at how having real conversations in your target language is so vital to your mastery of the language. Communicating with other people is the very point of language, and conversation comes easily in our native tongue. For beginners, or anyone learning a new language, conversations aren't easy at all, and even simple greetings can be intimidating and awkward. Nothing kills a conversation faster than long periods of awkward silence, so you need practice and specific strategies to avoid them. When you know what to say to keep a conversation going, communication becomes much easier, and you make a better impression on your listener. Nothing will help you learn to speak a language faster and truly master the language than having real conversations with native speakers. Conversations quickly expose you to slang, cultural expressions, and vocabulary that force you to absorb and assimilate information faster than any educational setting. And that's a great thing. But how can you possibly have real conversations with real people if you're just starting out? Here are 3 proven methods that even beginners can quickly use to learn conversational language to make a great impression and avoid awkward silences. First, ask questions to keep a conversation going. For beginners and even more advanced speakers, the key is to ask questions to keep a conversation going. Of course, they can't be just random questions, or else you may confuse the listener. But by memorizing a few key questions and the appropriate time to use them, you can easily carry a conversation with minimal vocabulary or experience. And remember, the more conversations you have, the quicker you will learn and master the language. Second, learn core vocabulary terms as quickly as possible. You don't need to memorize thousands of words to learn conversational language. In fact, with just a couple hundred words, you could have a very basic conversation. And by learning maybe 1,000 to 2,000 words, you could carry a conversation with a native speaker about current events, order in restaurants, and even get directions. To help you get started with this, check out our 2,000 common words, also known as our core list. These 2,000 words are all you need to learn to speak fluently and carry a conversation with a native speaker. Third, study video or audio lessons that you can play and replay again and again. If you want to know how to carry on a conversation, then you need exposure to native speakers, and the more, the better. Studying video or audio lessons is ideal because they provide contextualized learning in your native language, and you can play them again and again until you achieve mastery. Our instructors have created more than 2,500 video and audio lessons that you can play over and over. And the best part is, they don't just teach you vocabulary and grammar. They are designed to help you learn to speak and teach you practical everyday topics like shopping, ordering, and more. Although it may seem intimidating for a beginner, the truth is that it's very easy to learn conversational language. Just learn a few core vocabulary terms and which questions to ask to keep a conversation going. Our language learning program has the world's largest online collection of video and audio lessons by real instructors, plus tons of advanced tools to help you learn to speak and carry on a conversation quickly. Just a little practice and exposure to real conversations or lessons is all it really takes. So, if you're ready to finally learn a new language the fast, fun, and easy way, sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Signing up takes less than 30 seconds, and you'll start speaking from your very first lesson. If you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye!
Привет всем! С вами Светлана. Hi everybody, I'm Svetlana. Welcome to RussianPod101.coms. Русский язык за 3 минуты. The fastest, easiest, and the most fun way to learn Russian. In the last lesson, we learned the most common forms of greetings in Russian. Do you remember them? In this lesson, we are going to learn a very useful phrase. Do you speak English? If you find yourself in a situation when you need assistance in English, this phrase can be a lifesaver. And because you're asking it in Russian, you can be sure that everyone will understand what you are saying, even if the answer is no. Here's the informal way to say it. Ты говоришь по-английски? Ты говоришь по-английски? In Russian, verbs change depending on the pronoun that is used. The pronoun ты is the singular you in English. It is a very informal way to address people. Don't use it with complete strangers, especially if the person is older than you. I don't recommend that you use it during formal gatherings either, such as business meetings, conferences, and so on. The verb говоришь means speak in English. As I already mentioned, verbs usually change in Russian, according to the pronoun and time. The original form for the verb говоришь is говорить. To learn how to properly conjugate Russian verbs like говорить, please take a look at our Absolute Beginner series on RussianPod101.com. You can find very detailed grammar lessons and resources there. To make this sentence a question, we don't need to change the word order or anything like that. All we need is to change our intonation. You speak English is ты говоришь по-английски. But do you speak English is ты говоришь по-английски? A more polite way to ask this question in Russian is to use the pronoun вы, which is translated in English as the plural you. Remember, as we change the pronoun, we also need to conjugate the verb to match it. Говорить is conjugated to говорите. So the whole phrase in Russian will be Вы говорите по-английски? Вы говорите по-английски? The phrase по-английски stays the same. And you probably have already understood the meaning, right? It means in English. Very easy. By adding извините, excuse me, you make the sentence even more polite. Извините, вы говорите по-английски? Извините, вы говорите по-английски? The responses you might receive could be one of these three. Да, yes. Да. Немного, a little. Немного. Нет, no. Нет. The full version for the negative sentence will be Нет, я не говорю по-английски. Since this is a negation, we need to add the particle не before the verb говорю. Notice also that the verb говорите changed. It changed to говорю because we used the pronoun I here. Я in Russian. Thus the phrase I do not speak English is Я не говорю по-английски. Now it's time for Svetlana's tips. For those of you who are not native English speakers, don't worry. You can of course use this question with any language you need. Many other European and Asian languages are also popular in Russia. So maybe you will get lucky. Just substitute по-английски with по-немецки for German, по-испански for Spanish, по-китайски for Chinese, по-японски for Japanese. Great! In this lesson we mentioned the expression извините. But did you know that this can also be used as an apology? In the next lesson, we'll learn this and other ways to apologize in Russian. It's never too late to show your good manners towards Russian people. I'll see you in our next русский язык за 3 минуты lesson. Пока-пока! Привет всем! С вами Светлана. Hi everybody, I'm Svetlana. Welcome to RussianPod101.com. Русский язык за 3 минуты. The fastest, easiest, and the most fun way to learn Russian. In the last lesson, we learned the phrase «Извините, вы говорите по-английски?» Excuse me, do you speak English? We mentioned the word «извините», which means excuse me in Russian. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to use «извините» and other words when apologizing in Russian. We usually use «извините» when we want to draw somebody's attention. Perhaps you want to order something in the restaurant or simply ask the time. For example, «Извините, который час?» Excuse me, what time is it? The other meaning of «извините» is to say I'm sorry for something you've done or haven't done. The word «извините» derives from the word «вина», which means guilt in English. You use it when you feel guilty for bothering somebody or causing some problem. The word «извините» is used in its formal polite form. The informal version for it is «извини». It can also be used in two ways as mentioned, but it's mostly used in the sense of regret and apology. «Извини» refers to the informal pronoun you in its singular form. In other words, you would use it when speaking to a person you would address with the pronoun ты. Another informal word for an apology is «прости», which has almost the same meaning as «извини», but with a slightly higher level of regret. It derives from the verb «прощать», which means forgive. So literally this word is translated as «forgive me». So the formal way to say «forgive me» in Russian would be «простите» or «прошу прощения». The meaning of both phrases is almost the same. «Простите» is an imperative verb which literally means «forgive me». «Прошу прощения» means I am asking you to forgive me. This phrase is a bit more polite than «простите». As you might have guessed, the word «прошу» means I ask. You can add the word «пожалуйста», please, to your apology to make it even more polite and sincere. «Простите, пожалуйста», «извините, пожалуйста», «excuse me, please». Okay, great! Now it's time for Svetlana's tips. If you accidentally bump somebody, any of the phrases mentioned in this lesson would be fine for an apology. Just don't say nothing or ignore the other person, because you might get a very angry reaction and be yelled at in front of everybody. Russians can be very short-tempered and emotional, but will not usually harbor resentment if you admit your mistake. It is always easier to say a simple word of apology straight away rather than try to cool an angry Russian down. Okay, that's it for this lesson. Can you count in Russian? In the next lesson, we'll learn the numbers from 1 to 10. I'll be waiting for you in our next «Русский язык за 3 минуты» lesson. Пока-пока!
Expand your vocabulary with our core 2,000 words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Russian ebook before it's gone.